Well, it's the end of the month again, and so it's time for Tunes of the Month once again. I don't really know what else to say. To be completely honest, it is boiling here where I am right now, and I really don't want to be recording this for too long. So I'm just going to make this very short and snappy. Simulation steering, I'm actually using manual in this footage, so that's an improvement. Going to go through top 3, honourable mentions, that kind of thing. You know the song and dance. If you don't, I would recommend watching the first video in which I explain it all very thoroughly. Other than that, we'll just get straight into it. So, at number 3 on this list is the Gymkhana 10 Ford F-150 Huna truck, and I've just realised after recording the intro that I should explain what the actual concept is of this video, and it's just me trying to tame drift cars pretty much. The Huna truck, Formula Drift cars, Liberty cars, that kind of thing. And so the first one, like I've said, is the Huna truck, and to be honest, this was pretty much completely uncontrollable 90% of the time, and I did manage to get to a state where I'm happy. However, I still don't particularly like it, so I'm going to have to stick it at number 3, even though I did increase the horsepower because I try and round to the nearest class that I can find, which for this one is S2. It still resulted in just having too much power, even when I stripped the power upgrades out that I made. Too much power, and then after that, not enough grip. Even though downforce was maxed, I was running a stupid amount of camber. It was just not playing nice. But I genuinely think that will be it for this one. Like I said, this is going to be more short and snappy because it's what? Okay, so after that not particularly great car, we have number 2, which is the Formula Drift. Okay, this was going to take a second of actually working out how to say this. Number 117 599 GTB Fiorano. That is a name and a half, to say the least, but I got there in the end. To be honest, this is my first time recording this, so I'm impressed I did it in one take. But basically, it is the drift version of a Ferrari. I can't remember which one. However, it's a drift spec Ferrari, and taming this one was a little bit easier than the Huna truck just because it was lower on power and generally worked in lower tier drifting. However, it overall ended up turning out pretty good. I mean, just in comparison to the other drift car on this list, which I won't spoil yet, it's turned out well, but when we get there, we get there. For now though, this handles alright. I mean, you probably see it sliding all over the road in the background of this audio clip, and it doesn't look particularly amazing, but it's helped definitely as I've transitioned over to manual shifting, as the shifting change has allowed me to control my speed a lot better. Is it fun to drive? Yeah, a little bit, but I wouldn't take it out for a drive for fun, if you know what I mean. It'd obviously be something that I'd only occasionally use. But generally speaking, other than that, it was alright to tune. I mean, a nightmare, like I said. The problem is with a lot of these drift cars is that the aero tuning, they have inbuilt aero, you can't change it, and there's basically no downforce that's applied, so even when you apply max downforce, max camber, not max camber, but optimal camber, it's still horrible. But anyway, I should probably get on to some honourable mentions. So the first honourable mention, in no particular order, is the McLaren Artura. I think it's Artura, it could be Arturo. I haven't checked despite playing this game literally this morning, which at the time of recording is 3 hours ago. So I don't understand why I didn't check, however I didn't. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But this car is just something I decided to pick up because I thought it looks cool and it was fun. And I was kind of right. I tuned it up and it drives incredibly well. I mean, I couldn't be happier with it, to be honest. It's been a nice break from the drift cars that I've been using, where they've all basically, as soon as you put your foot down, they slide out from underneath you and you are gone and you cannot do anything about it. I mean, I was driving the Camaro Pro stock for some other reason the other day, which I'll get to in a different video, where if you don't actually use that car for drag racing and use it for anything else, if you spin it, you will spin in circles until you come to a full stop, which isn't amazing. But anyway, back to this car. So the Artura is just generally really fun. I mean, it's got an alright amount of horsepower. It's not particularly speedy, even though it is, I think, S1 class. Obviously, it'll be up on the screen at the start, so I don't really need to remember off the top of my head. And the thing is, you probably noticed on the clip, it slips in the video footage that I've already recorded down to 11th at the start. And here's the problem with Horizon 5. I've noticed a lot of cars, if they're not all-wheel drive, will automatically drop to the back of a race if they're not all-wheel drive, and then you end up just having to trail the pack until you get to the point where you can continue again, which isn't the most fun thing on the planet, and I'd rather that not happen. I remember it being less of an issue in the other games, but that might just be nostalgia talking, but I've played them all recently, so I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's really fun, actually, and I'd recommend you go and give it a go. The share code's up on the screen. So, after a helicopter has decided to fly directly over where I'm recording, we should probably get back to it. So, the last not runner-up, but more special mention, is the Lamborghini Aventador Ultimate, which has numbers and letters. I've talked about this in another video, where there's numbers and letters everywhere when it comes to Lamborghini cars. Can't remember what they stand for, and I don't particularly care right now. But anyways, as this is all-wheel drive, it doesn't have that problem that I just mentioned, where it decides to just slip and fall straight to the back, rather than being able to jump straight forward. It is very jumpy and snappy, and it runs straight to the front of the pack, pretty much. The only AI I tend to really have problems with, which is just because I'm an expert and rubber banding exists, is the one that inevitably ends up miles in front, where you have to basically cut corners to catch up. That's always a fun experience, but it is life, so in this game, at least, I mean, no, actually that's not true, because I know for a fact they did it in pretty much every other Horizon game that I've tried ever, because I have specific memories of it happening in Horizon 3 and 4 as well. But moving on anyways, the Aventador, it isn't particularly upgraded compared to the default, because the default is mid S1 class, and this Aventador is just the top of S1, so it hasn't had a massive amount of upgrades. It's had some power boost, it's had the transmission moved around, it's had the grip get changed. It's generally not been edited too much. However, it's been edited enough to the point where it counts as me tuning it. So, generally speaking, I'm enjoying what I'm doing with this car. I'm sorry there's less technical information, but I don't think my brain can really contain it at this point, just due to the heat. It's kind of frying my brain, so I'm just kind of getting through, like I said, as quickly as possible, giving generalish thoughts, and yeah, there we go. And it's time for the final one, actually, so let's move on to that. So, the last car on the list, we're finally here, and it is the Formula Drift number 43 Dodge Viper SRT10. See, why can't they make all the names nice and easy like that one? It would make my life so much easier having to talk about all of them. But anyway, moving on from that, this one is one that I actually remember because it is relatively simple. It starts out in all-wheel drive, I'm 99% sure, and as a result it actually is relatively stable, and it doesn't have the same problem really of kicking out the back whenever you even slightly put your foot down, because generally it has less power despite being roughly the same PI class. As a result, it's a lot more controllable, and I actually like this a lot more controllable, and it's a lot more fun. The reason for all of this, I'll explain later. However, this is just a good thing to drive. I enjoy driving it, it's fun, you can't get enough of it. I actually drag tuned it to see what would happen. It goes really fast on a drag tune, but this one, it's relatively controllable around corners compared to the others, and it has a lot of snap to it in comparison, which is quite nice. When you are talking about the power when it comes to the car, it has a roughly equal amount of power to the other ones on the list. I mean, it's not quite as high as like the Huna trucks, that one's in a completely different class, but compared to everything else, it's quite fun to drive, it's quite snappy and responsive, and as a result, it's an enjoyable drive. I mean, it does have some oversteer problems like you'd expect from this kind of car, but that's just the kind of car. If you want oversteer problems, drive something else. A lack of oversteer problems, I should say. Drive something else, because it'll make your life a lot easier. Go and just pick out an Aventador and just understeer around every corner. Or download a tune from someone else like me, and you will be able to not understeer around every corner. And I honestly think I'll be leaving it there for this entry, and then we're just going to smash through an outro. So, as I kind of said, the reason basically behind all of this, which I haven't quite got to yet, is basically that if you look in the game's accolades, for those of you that own the game, there is an accolade for completing, I think it's a street race in a Formula Drift car, and I thought I will make some tunes that will make that easier for anyone that comes looking, if they even want to. I mean, most of them are okay. I would definitely recommend the Viper over all the others if you own it, but if you don't own it, there's some other ones as well which might be a little bit easier to get to for some people. That's the whole point of this video. I have a couple others that I need to record the audio for pretty much now, which I'm not particularly looking forward to, but we're just going to have to see. And yeah, the driving every car in every game, the showcase cars, I've recorded the footage for it finally, and I'm also going to record the audio for it soon. Ideally now, in a minute. Well, I'll get some of the footage that I'm missing for this, make a thumbnail, and then I'll probably record it. But yeah, other than that, I think really just have a nice day, do all the YouTube stuff, you know what to do. I'm not going to explain it to you like a child. And I'll see you in the next one.